going to call today's meeting to order. Just going to run through the agenda. This is my, third, fourth meeting, so bear with me. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Do we just...
Yep, stand. Pledge.
So if everybody can stand and recite after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so we have the agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Andy? Second.
I read the lips.
All right. Let the record reflect that the motion to approve, or motion for the agenda was approved. And then we also have last month's agenda. So that was in the board packet. Everybody received that. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda that's part of our file?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So moved. Next item on the agenda is citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens here that wish to speak to the board? Hearing none, we'll jump to the finance report.
All right. In your packet is the profit and loss, statement of activity, statement of financial position, the check details for the month of October. Let's see what notes April left me. Check detail report. October, we received disbursements from Erie County Planning for Act 137 and whole homes for $28,550 and $43,331. We pulled down from LHRD $223,439.27. So that's the big revenue from the month of October. If there's any questions about those, I will gladly take note of them and have April email you guys tomorrow. And then, do you want me to do the Baker Tilly, and then you want to get the finance report approved?
Yeah.
Okay. So Baker Tilly update, we're still working through the testing phase. Thus far, there has not been any identified issues with the Blackbaud Financial Edge NXT. We are scheduled for a go-live date of January 1st, 2025. So we're working toward that goal right now. We have a meeting with Zachary from the third-party consultant with Blackbaud the Monday before Thanksgiving, just to kind of go through a few things and make sure we're positioned for that go live of January 1st. So all said there, it looks like we're going to be good to go live January 1st. We had a meeting last week with Baker Tilly, just trying to work out some of those details. Most of it's going live January 1st. I think by February 1st, they're going to kind of close up all of the accounts, pull everything in, and then it'll be good to move forward as far as that implementation goes.
So there's basically going to be a month buffer where you're still going to be using QuickBooks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't impact, sorry, weird echo. That shouldn't impact being able to run a full year report in 2026 for 2025?
No.
Okay.
No, everything will be basically duplicate for that first month or so.
Got it.
And then we met with Baker Tilly last week. The main point of the meeting we had on Friday was the integration with PPS, which is our property management system, to link costs for properties with Blackbaud Financial Edge. So they're going to work between Cuyahoga County, which administers that software, and Baker Tilly are going to work together to see what kind of software patch they can put in to pull the information in so that we can have better data for, the work that Gene and us do as far as properties, costs, everything, so that we can have some better budgeting tools when that comes down. But kind of link those two, which I think once we get that all sorted out, will be a tremendous asset to us as well, with the whole financial system and the two systems kind of joined together electronically. So that's my report. Well, April's report, but I just read it.
Any questions from the board on the finance report?
I just have one more on the Baker Tilly assistance. So with the playground that they've kind of set up for you all, have like you played around with like, what if we have a non-regular or, you know, just a grant in general that comes in that, you know, doesn't look the same as, you know, the regular grants that you receive from HUD? Like, have you kind of just tried to like throw wrenches at it to see if anything, you know, needs to be addressed? Just trying to, you know, foresee any.
So, yeah, well, I know that they've provided Corey and April with a 3-page kind of like test drive list of things to do. I'm not sure if that is one of those type situations, but it's something I will provide a question to April tomorrow and have her answer that. But Corey showed me the list today, and it's a good 3 pages of do this, do that, you know, like walking through line by line, like different scenarios and such to make sure that they try to test it out.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Do I have a motion to approve the finance report pending audit?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the executive director's report.
All right, Gene, you want to start it off with the solicitor's report?
I can do that. Good afternoon, Board. I have provided a memorandum setting forth the various properties and the issues associated with it. I will hit some of the highlights here. And again, it's my intention to be able to provide this to you so that everybody can review this, and if you have questions, follow up with me now or even at a later date. First, Downing Street, we're finishing that up, securing a quitclaim deed to clear title so that property can be transferred or determine what needs to be done at a later date. 711 West 18th Street, that's a property that we are working to get a resolution. We've given them a little bit more time to get personal property out of there. That property has been used as really a storage facility, and it's become a problem in the neighborhood. So what we'd like to do is have him remove all that personal property so that we don't have to deal with it. So we're working with him to accomplish that task, kind of keeping his feet to the fire a little bit, but also making sure that it's not delayed to a point where it continues to cause a problem for the neighborhood. Patterson Avenue, we are really pushing that forward to get that done, because we know that that's been on a number of radars to get that done. So I'm thinking that we will have that wrapped up and finalized by year end. That'll make everybody happy. Jumping down to number 5, we received a reimbursement payment on that. We're working with the owner to make sure that those properties are done, and we're looking at a springtime completion so that those can be relinquished back to the owner. But again, we now have a process in place, and working with Aaron and Kyle to make sure that those things are done on a timely basis, that we don't want out of sight, out of mind, because that doesn't help, especially when you have owners that are out of town, and that's the situation there. East Fifth Street, that property has been concluded. There are, again, a number of personal property items in there. We're working to get that out so that we can move forward. Number 7 is a situation you'll see that we've received the reimbursement payment, confirmed that insurance is in place, and that work is getting done to rehab that property. Again, that's our goal, is to make sure that it's rehabbed and put back into appropriate use, and that taxes are being paid going forward. So that's what we've been able to accomplish. And again, with Aaron and Kyle, we're going to be able to make sure that that happens. We'll bring to your attention number 8. This is an ongoing success story. Owner has been actively trying to rehab this. Kyle's been the front guy going to making sure that the work is getting done on a timely manner, and to make sure that he realizes that this has to come to a conclusion. I think that it will, certainly by year end. I won't necessarily mention, but you see that there is an ancillary issue that goes along with that, so that's all going to be tied up together. All righty. Number 9, we have worked with a local attorney here. I've received confirmation last week that the quitclaim deed and the mortgage satisfactions are being signed and forwarded to me for filing, so that will come to a conclusion. Number 10 is still a work in progress. Met with council last week. We have some things that need to be worked out. We're going to continue to do that because we have a view pointed for later this week. But I think that we're going to be able to reach a resolution to even not necessarily terminate that. I don't like to do that. I like to have it kind of stayed, so that if it needs to have new life breathed into it, that I can do that without having to jump back to the beginning. So I conveyed that, and the attorney for the party understands that. Number 11, real quick. This is a unique situation, and Aaron and I have set up a schedule which is incredibly beneficial to me. The first Monday of the month, Aaron and I get together and we go through all these to make sure, quite frankly, that I'm getting things done and that we're moving things forward in a progressive fashion, and it's really beneficial to me so that I can meet with Aaron and get feedback. This is a property that we own, but that a party is making payments on to the mortgage company. So they're continuing to collect them. We own them. They don't care what we do with it. As long as they keep getting their payments, they're okay. And I'm not going to do anything to adversely impact upon that relationship between the prior owner and the mortgage company. They understand our position, and we're all working together to get that done. I've never seen anything like that, but...
How was the mortgage not satisfied when the ownership transferred to the Redevelopment Authority?
Oh, it was not satisfied of record, but it was extinguished or terminated, the claim that it had. But the out-of-town owner is continuing to make payments to them, and I think what they're trying to do, it's a great question, I think they're trying to make sure that they don't get sued on the note, so that they don't get sued personally.
Oh, okay.
But in the meantime, I can't get them to satisfy the mortgage of record that's out there. It's been terminated and extinguished, but there hasn't been a separate satisfaction piece filed. We own it. They acknowledge we own it. They said, do whatever you need to do. If you need to bulldoze it. But I've never had a situation like that happen. So we're working through that. My only concern is going down the road, if we need to sell that, what are we going to do with it? There's that mortgage out there.
Right. I'm wondering, can we get some type of release, not a satisfaction piece, but some type of release, just to release the property from the lien? That way, the underlying note remains in place.
And Jeremy, that's exactly my next step, because I was going, hey, here's the satisfaction.
Right.
We've got it extinguished, we put you on notice, you know the whole thing, you guys didn't fight this at all. Now they're saying, hey, look, we're not gonna satisfy this mortgage, so that, I'm kind of changing gears. Hey, look, I need some type of a mutual release and settlement agreement as between the redevelopment authority and you lender. So that's my next step here.
Okay.
All right, so, thank you. Trying to think through this in my head, this confirms that, okay, I'm not totally. So, with you and I being on the same wave, that's probably not good news for you, Jeremy. Holy crap, but in any event, the industrial lots, again, I'm pushing those owners. I'm saying, hey, look, you guys want these off your books by year end. We kind of want it on our books by year end. So I'm working with attorney John Fessler to accomplish that. So we communicated again last week. 13, we're going to have to circle back on this. I talked to Aaron about this. This has been a property that they tried to donate to us, but there are 2 mortgages and also a judgment from a credit card company. I'm not exactly sure how to go about that, because if we just accept it, we're going to accept it with those. So I'm working through that. Now, I've been successful in the past by writing them and saying, hey, look, these properties are really bad. You're at risk by being a mortgage holder. You have an interest in this. You don't want something bad to happen and be included in a matter that's happening afterwards. So that usually gets their attention, going, oh gosh, yes, this looks terrible. We want out, okay? And I don't think that they're receiving payments from a third party or an out-of-town person to take care of that. 14, I don't want to steal Aaron's thunder, but this was 426 East 10th Street. This was a Ukrainian family that had a lot of family members that it burned in a fire. The houses are so close that it moved down. They did not have insurance on it. I think it's been bulldozed. So they're donating the lot to Redevelopment Authority to offer to the neighbors. But the silver lining on this, 2 weeks ago I did a closing for this family. We were able to get financing through Marquette with them. So this Ukrainian family has pulled themselves back up by their bootstraps. They have a new home that is going to better accommodate their extended family. They have secured a mortgage through Marquette. I'm going to get choked up. And they have insurance. Because if they have a mortgage with Marquette, I'm the one who's making sure that they have insurance on it. So to have that family in my office buying a new house with a mortgage and insurance on it was a very nice day for them, and I was honored to be a part of it. The 1130 East, I'm going to end on a high note. 1130 East 5th Street, even higher than that Ukrainian family. This is a success story, successfully rehabilitated, and we are in the process of finalizing all the documentation to make sure that we extinguish any of the ownership rights that Race has in it back to this owner. So with that, I thank you for your time and appreciate the opportunity to work on this.
Thanks, Gene. And I don't know 1130 East 5th Street, and I guess I've presented it to so many of the boards as far as that property, and I'm not sure if I did in October, but that was a successful relinquishment agreement. That was a property we filed condemnation action against. We entered into a relinquishment agreement with the condemnee. They rehabilitated the property. I mean, and I have pictures I can share to the board if I haven't shared them yet, and I apologize for that. But there was holes in the roof, the plaster ceilings were coming down. It has been completely rehabilitated, and that's where we're at. So it's proof and evidence that a condemnee can have a declaration of taken filed, enter into a legitimate agreement with the authority, and successfully get their property back after following the process in which we have in place. So it's successful and it works. So, and we're moving forward, as Gene said, with many of those. So Other than that, as far as my general updates, the only thing I really share with the board is the PARA conference there the last week of October. I believe it was the 26th through the 29th. Went off very well. We provided them with some exceptional Erie weather. So all went good. They enjoyed the tour of the Housing Authority projects and Millionaires Row. And I think it was a great showcase for Erie. We had 188 attendees registered for the event. Went off really well. So well attended, and I hope that they decide to come back to Erie sooner than 10 years. So that all went very well. So that's my report. The only other thing is moving into unfinished business. I would request Mr. Vice Chairman to move number 6 up in effort of time for Matt and Tim from Hands to, we can go through that, and that way they can leave and go on with their day. So
Yep.
thank you.
Any questions for the executive director? And it looks like we have a couple items that we'll address later on in terms from Gene's report, the solicitor's report for the deed in lieu of condemnation. So we'll get to those shortly. We're first going to jump to the new production program application modification for 1319 Parade Street, which is Hands.
Yes.
All
Yes.
right.
So they reached out to me last week, and so if you remember back during the March special meeting, we approved an allocation of funding to, I believe it was 5 different entities at that time to provide housing rehabilitation funding for affordable housing across the city of Erie. And so one of those approvals was for 1319 Parade Street for 4 single-family or single-bedroom units in a building that they had purchased from the Erie Land Bank. And so they reached out last week, and I provided kind of the overview from their engineering staff. And so what's really happening here is it's switching from rehabilitation to demolition and new construction. So just in an effort of to keep everything clear and concise, I wanted to have a board resolution just acknowledging the fact that it was going to be new construction and that the Redevelopment Authority Board acknowledged and approved the use of the funding for that purpose.
And the funding amount's not changing.
Funding amount's not changing, the amount of units being produced is not changing, just the overall configuration and structure of the building being new construction is changing. We talked last week, and I agree with them. I think overall they purchased the lot next door to that property. They're going to kind of turn it. It's going to fill out the missing tooth on that block, and I think, I think for the same thing, we're going to get a complete Parade Street block, and it's going to look better than it ever would have. So I'm fully supporting it, and that's why, I put a resolution in front of the board to amend the previous allocation of funding.
And what's the total cost of the project? Is that, obviously it's changing because instead of rehab, it's demo and new build. So is that just coming from the coffers of Hands? Is that?
We have multiple funding sources.
Okay.
We're estimating it to be about $2 million total, all in.
Okay.
Construction, all the other soft costs. We will go out to bid once the plan is developed, so we will confirm those prices, but we use the construction consultant to give us the estimate of the construction costs.
Any questions from the board?
Probably the only other one I have is, it looks like from the letter from the Avon Design Group, that foundation may be reused. In the event that it's not, would it need to, go before the city for additional permits, or would completely demolishing it, including the foundation, is it still like a by right use?
We've had our surveyor look at that, and he believes he can reconfigure the building in a way that we meet all the
Okay. Thank you. Okay. No other questions from me?
And we do have a motion or a resolution before us. It's on the last page of the packet. I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to review that. Basically, it just confirms everything that Aaron said, and it's simply to amend the application from the rehab to change it to a demo and build out for the same amount of funding of $183,724. So do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, and none opposed, so the motion carries. So that resolution is passed.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda for unfinished business, we have the segment 3 update.
Yes, all right. So I provided you kind of a brief summary of where we are with the Rackby Union Square Revitalization Project, Segment 3. Met with, on October 23rd, with EMTA and Alex Haney from AU Consulting, who is our consultant on behalf of the state in this project. We have since combined, we've abolished what was Segment 5 and restructured the entire project into Segment 3. And so to save, there were some issues with the original Segment 3, so we've kind of revamped the Segment 3 portion to be part of the EMTA build-out, which is currently under construction at the EMTA garage on 14th Street. So in total, it has been bid out. The remaining Rackby grant is $2,095,412, with, of course, a one-to-one match with the EMTA and their project. So they're kind of working through with Alex, just penciling out those final numbers as we go through. Their bids came in surprisingly a little bit lower than anticipated, so they've got to look at some other of their engineering costs and such to provide that one-to-one match to the grant. But in total, it looks good. Like I said, the construction start date was August 7th this year, and we anticipate a completion of February 5th of 2025. So our Rackby grant runs through November 30th of this month. I've requested a one-year extension on the grant, as we've done for probably the past 10 years. So if that is accepted, which there's no indication that it won't be, we should be able to actually successfully complete this entire Rackby grant, which would be great, and we can close it out and just be done with it. So it's been a very, and at some point, if the board wanted to, I could explain to you every project that the funding has been involved in, but I don't think we have enough time in today to talk about that. But it's been a very instrumental grant for that Union Square area. It's had its fingers in quite a bit of the projects up in that area, so it's good to see it finishing out that parking garage build out for EMTA. So I just wanted to kind of update the board on that. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
All right, housing rehabilitation report.
All right. Mine is pretty brief this month. So we were all tied up with all things para last month, and last month was also National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, which keeps me pretty tied up, doing a lot of lead education pieces to different entities around the city. So still finishing out some of these existing Healthy Homes projects. Again, waiting for more drawdown on those before we think about spending down the last couple bucks left in that fund. The biggest one right now is closing out the current LHRD lead hazard control grant. I believe we have, with the three most recent approved applications, as long as they prove viable on inspection, we will have our target number for benchmarks of number of units we need. So that would be very exciting. And I'm trying to learn the ropes of how to close out one grant and trying to start another one, with the new one starting hopefully in 2025. Other than that, it's pretty much the same, mostly same status as last month for the county jobs. Just working on getting those processed through, with contractors spread thin and trying to get as many roofs on before weather turns as possible. That's about it.
How many more weeks do you anticipate?
It's eerie.
Yeah,
I mean,
nothing in mind.
Yeah, I mean, it could be below 0 tomorrow. It could be 80 at Christmas.
When does it usually, I guess from year to year, when does it usually peter out?
Usually about now.
About
Usually
now.
about before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I think
try
we're,
to
yeah, go ahead.
wrap it up.
I think we got caught a little behind the beginning, like early construction season this year, because March, April, even into May was so rainy. So I think now the contractors we have them buried in roof jobs right now, just trying to get as many knocked out as we can, while we still have sort of reliable weather. But we have some interior stuff for some of these county programs too that will, even if the weather is inclement, they'll still have plenty to do. So I expect soon we should start getting all the people needing furnaces and things like that, because that's about what we expect to start hearing this time of year. And then, this is where we start building up our pipeline of jobs for the spring as well.
Okay.
And as usual, no shortage of applicants.
Good. Is that it? All right, any questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. It looks like we have 2 items of unfinished business. Looks like 2 separate resolutions. We'll start with the first one being a deed in lieu of condemnation for property at 2712 East Avenue. And Gene, just to confirm, this is the UMB Bank, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so this is an item that the solicitor reported about in his report. Looks like you're working with attorney Michael Neese, and we have a deed, mortgage satisfaction to be signed and filed, so this is all in connection with that. And there was obviously no other liens, anything else to be concerned about, so.
That's correct.
Okay. Let me track down. So do I have a motion to approve the resolution authorizing the deed in lieu of condemnation for 2712 East Avenue?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. And then we have another resolution for, again, a deed in lieu of condemnation for property at 426 East Avenue. This is, looks like this one is the donation one, is that correct, Gene?
That's correct.
And again, no liens, no issues, so we would just be taking a deed, deed in lieu.
Even with the condemnation.
Now, there was, just a quick question there, because the property, it looks like it was, there was no insurance, but then it was demoed. The cost of demolition, was that just paid for by the landowner?
That was an emergency.
It was an emergency demo by the city of Erie, and then the property owners paid for
Paid
the
them.
official cleanup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Every once in a while, sometimes like, it gets lost in translation, the demo costs, so. All right, that's all well and good. So we have a resolution before us for the deed in lieu of condemnation for property at 426 East 10th Street. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. And then we have, as our last item of unfinished business, the race conduit sales agreement with Erie Land Bank. We had some correspondence going back and forth on that earlier today. I think the plan for now is just to keep the conduit sales agreement as it's historically been used in place for purposes of this transaction. And it looks like the purpose of this is to acquire 7 blighted properties from off of the Erie County Judicial Tax Sale, as well as property at 1602 Parade Street. And this is just essentially a resolution to authorize the execution of that conduit sales agreement, and that this is not, I guess, agreeing to the purchase of any property.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, and I separated it out because 1602 is its own animal, and I wanted to make sure the board had the ability to just kind of approve one and deny one if so.
And what would be the reason for denying 1602?
So 1602, and Cynthia, if you want to kind of, so 1602 Parade Street, it's a property, it was an old plating facility. They did all different, like, I believe 3 or 4 different types of plating back in the day, and it had been there for some time. So it sits on the corner of 16th and Parade Street. It's in deplorable condition, and for some time, the Redevelopment Authority had an option on it. It sat in bankruptcy for almost 14 years, I believe. And it came out, and at that point, we didn't really have any funding available, so we kind of told the Tax Claim Bureau to do with what you want with it. So they put it on the judicial tax sale list, and so we started doing some more investigation. If you want to flip through, so from the outside, it looks good, and it's the problem is when you get to the interior of the property. It really, the building takes up the entire parcel from front to back side. Everything is basically structure. But once you get inside, it is I'd say probably about 50% of the ceiling is down on the first floor. The first floor is down in the basement. It's in real bad condition. So, given that it is, a commercial industrial building and I shouldn't say potential brownfield, brownfield. Had some conversations with Ty from Erie County Redevelopment Authority in regards to this property. And so they're working on a brownfield grant right now that would cover the cost of the environmental assessment of this property. So given the time frame discussed with her last week, it looks like our acquisition time frame of judicial tax sale and getting title to it and then deeding it over in late February, early March would meet what it appears to be the time frame that they would have the money available to do the phase 1 on the property. ACM would probably be minimum on it. We're not quite sure of any other contaminants, but we also can't get in the basement to determine if there are any storage drums or such in the basement. So that's an unknown with the property. My concern, and I presented this to the Land Bank Board, they were unsure, until I did some more digging. It could be kind of a co-working on this property as far as sharing costs. We could use some Act 152 money for demolition. We could go after some additional funding for brownfield demolition, whatever the case would be. My concern is given how the judicial tax sale is structured now with online bidding, the county or the McDonald League is more than likely going to show a property assessment photo, and somebody from out of town is going to purchase this property, and then we're going to start the cycle of either having to condemn it or wait 3 years for it to come back to a judicial tax sale and auction it at that point. Newman Brothers, who is the meat butcher packing company to the south of this property, would love to acquire this property and put a loading dock on the 16th Street side of the building, because now they currently have to block 3/4 of Parade Street to back a semi in. And they've been doing it for years. People complain about it every day whenever it happens, but there's not much. And if you can go back to the first photo, Cynthia. Yeah, so their tiny little building has the Arthur F. Schultz on the top of it, but the semi does not fit in the loading bay, so they back up to the door that's right on the sidewalk to load product several times a week. So if we were able to demolish this building, remediate the lot, turn it into a parking lot, they would gladly purchase it and be able to add a loading dock and potentially expand their business.
So is that a party wall then?
There's 2 walls. There is a separation between the 2 buildings.
Oh, there is?
Yes, there's 2 separate structures there.
So the goal would be acquire it, remediate it, and then and then sell it to the neighboring property for a parking lot.
Yes. Yeah, there is no rehab value there whatsoever. So it's.
Is there any other more productive use that we could potentially think of here?
I don't think the building is salvageable.
And maybe not for the building itself, because I agree the condition looked bad, and
For
I'm sure that.
development, you're thinking?
Yeah, just because it just seems like there's nothing great here right now, but a loading dock doesn't sound great either.
Given the area, there's a substantial amount of industrial businesses in the area. There's a lot of already vacant commercial structures across the street. The authority has a developer's agreement on the vacant lot directly across 16th Street by the tracks. I think there's a lot of vacant lots. With the city, the county prison is right there on the other side of Parade Street. There's a lot of vacancy in that area. We're demolishing blighted properties pretty much yearly in that area, and I think it's down to about 3 residents left kind of in that vicinity. So not sure what else there would be there. I mean, somebody might want to potentially build a warehouse, but there's a lot of warehousing space already in that area.
Got it.
And so as part of the conduit sales agreement, there is, I guess, allocated $8,316, and that's to cover upfront costs in performing some of the acquisition costs associated with these parcels. So
Yes.
all, I guess, 8 parcels, is that correct?
So the agreement only covers the 7 on there. I did not include Parade Street on
Okay,
it,
did
but
not
that
include
is $1,188, which is our minimum bid for optioning a property off the judicial tax sale. So I have to provide to McDonald Illig prior to the sale checks for $1,188 for every property. So that funding covers that cost, and then, of course, then we would be responsible to pay the land bank the remaining costs of Gene's time for title searches and legal work to go through the quiet title action and clear the properties.
And then you mentioned also with this particular property that there would be a phase 1, and I'm assuming phase 2. I mean, would that be done in conjunction with one
Yeah,
another?
depending upon what the outcome of the phase 1 would be. We discussed really it would be it might be a mix of demolition and environmental assessment at the same time to truly determine what type of contaminants might be in the ground. We can do an ACM test on some of the roofing materials and accessible materials, proceed with demolition, and then do kind of the ground environmental assessment at that time.
Yeah, I can't imagine that property. You would just go with the phase 1. I think it would definitely be a phase 2, just given the fact that it was a plating company.
Yeah.
Okay. So the proposed agreement that we have, if we were to, I guess, have a are we even, there's no formal resolution, is there?
No, it'd just be a
Okay.
board motion to approve.
So it would just be under the same format as the one for the 7. If we opted to go for 1602 Parade Street, it would just be a different dollar amount.
Yes, that is correct. It would be $1,188.
Okay. So any further questions from the board on, and then this, I guess the 7 blighted properties, those are all just residential,
Yes, they're strictly all residential properties.
single-family homes?
Yes.
Like detached, standalone? you know?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions on any of these? Okay. So I guess why don't we start with the, I guess the conduit sales agreement. And again, the $8,000, that's just coming from, you're gonna be paying that over to McDonald Illig, is that?
We will pay it to the
To
land
land
bank.
bank and then,
Yes.
okay. All right, so for the conduit sales agreement for the 7 blighted properties, do I have a motion for that?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. Now, I guess to do a similar conduit sales agreement, using the, what was it,
$88.
$88, in terms of deposit monies, for the acquisition of 1602 Parade Street. And again, this is just authorizing the board to enter into the conduit sales agreement, not necessarily obligating the board to purchase these properties. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. And
That is all.
that's it. Any other business?
I have nothing else for
Okay.
today's meeting.
All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm not opposed, so. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeremy.